When we have calls to DynamoDB coming from clients in multiple regions, let's say one client is in the USA, another client is in Europe, and another client is in Asia, let's say China. So in this case, if we have any restrictions on the latency that the client should receive the response from DynamoDB, and usually in online services, we do want the latency to be the least as possible. Then we can use the feature from DynamoDB, which is the global tables, in order to deploy the DynamoDB instances in multiple regions. Because the speed of light only from the US to Europe is a few tenths of milliseconds. So if you want to conserve this a few tenths of milliseconds and have a fast response, then we have no choice. We would need to have multiple instances of DynamoDB in multiple regions. If we had a choice, we could skip this, but we don't really have a choice. And due to the limitation of the speed of light, we want multiple regions. Of course, this also helps in availability if something happens to one region, but this is not the main use case. Our specific main use case is if we want to conserve some speed, and the availability is a bonus. It's very good to have. It's a best practice to have any service deployed in multiple regions, such that if something happened to one region, then the other region is available, and our application continues to work as usual, maybe with a little more latency if the calls is coming from one region to another, but still the application would work. But the main use case which is usually used is for us to be able to have a lower latency, such that our service would call the DynamoDB that exists in one region. And for this purpose exactly, we have the cross-region replications that DynamoDB provides to us. Basically, we tell DynamoDB we want this table to exist in region 1, in region 2, in region 3. We choose the regions that we want this global table to appear, and that table would appear in these multiple regions, and we would have a multi-master database. With the multi-master database, we means that we can do the writes to any of them. We can do the writes and reads to any of these global tables automatically if we use eventually consistent read and write. So in eventual consistent read and write, we are allowed to do the reads and the writes to any region. However, if we want a strong consistency of the reads, we have to do the reads and the writes on the same region, because DynamoDB does not support, as of this moment, strongly consistent reads across AWS regions. So we need to consider whether we want eventual consistency or whether we want strong consistency. In eventual consistency, we can just do the reads and writes for any region, and for strong consistency, we must do them for the same region. By having the global table deployed in multiple regions, we have to take care of replication, right? Because if we do a write to one region and we want it to be eventually existing on another region, then DynamoDB would need to do the replication. And indeed, DynamoDB would automatically do the multi-master replication, such that if we write to one region, the data would eventually arrive into another region. And this is why the eventual consistency would work cross-region. But if we do want the strong consistency, then we would need to read and write to the same region, such that we would arrive to the same instance. And the replication would happen on the background. When we do a write to one region, then DynamoDB would replicate our data to another region. When we add additional tables in multiple regions, those are replica tables. They are replica tables, but they are also the master tables. So basically, we are adding replication of the whole data that we have on when we had a single table on a single region. Now we have multiple tables. Each of them is on a specific region. Each of them is a replica, and each of them is also a master table. We want to make sure when we have those replicas tables that the write capacity is the same across them, such that when we have replication from when we write to one table, then we wouldn't reach the limit of write on another table on another region. So we do want to verify that our write capacity is identical across the regions.